Hey there, howdy everybody, and welcome back to Retro Repair Roundup episode. I think the screen is telling me it's episode 87, so I'm going to believe the screen. Yeah, we are going to have some fun tonight. Super quick, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. We've got Francois, our wonderful friend from France. Francois from France, imagine that. We've got Mac84. Hi, Steve. Eep. We've got Kranos 127, Quack, Rudo's Retro, Rudy's Retro, Rudo's, what is Rudo's? Rudy's Retro Intel, Garth, Ian here. Hey, Ian Scott, how you doing? We got Jesse I8386, One Bit Fever Dreams, and I'm sure other people will show up as we go. Thank you all for stopping by tonight. I know you got plenty of things that you could be doing on Sunday, but decide instead to hang out with us and listen to us go crazy live on the internet. Let us go around and introduce each of our hosts, and then we'll land on our wonderful guest. Hi, I'm Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. You know how to find me, jcm-1.com. And then we've got Ron of Ron's Computer Videos, of Ron's compvids.com. And then we've got Javier. Do not look up JAV on the internet. Be very, very careful about that. But from 8-Bit Tees and 8-Bit Stuff, of course. And then, finally, last, but certainly the most, we have our wonderful guest, Dan Vincent. Yeah. Hi, Dan. How you doing this evening?
Hi, Joe. Hi, Ron. Hi, Javier. It's great to be here down in the lower, in our stream. That looks like the lower left-hand corner of the Quadriforce.
Yeah.
So glad to be here.
Awesome.
It's a real anchor spot on this show.
Yes,
I mean, if this by Voltron logic, I think that you're the yellow lion.
Sure. Unfortunately, my Lego Voltron took a spill a while ago. It's in the other room. I need to disassemble the lions and reassemble them, but I think that is correct.
Oh my
Sorry,
gosh.
I'm hold on. I'm getting an update here. It's actually the blue lion.
Ah, okay.
I feel bad as a Voltron kid. I feel like I should have known that, but at least I got it was 50-50. It's either yellow or blue. So,
well, it depends on which side you're looking at it, right? If you look at the front or the back.
I guess true. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you're checking out Voltron's can, I guess from your perspective, it would be the left leg.
Oh man! Oh wow!
Off to a great start tonight.
Yes. So for our wonderful friends joining us in chat tonight, if you have any questions for Dan, drop them in the chat, and we'll make sure that we mark those so we can ask those later at the end of the primary segment. So let's dig right in. Dan, folks tell me that you are a super nice person, and
Aww.
I tend to believe them, but would you like to dispel that myth? Would you like to tell people how... No, I'm kidding. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and what's behind the name Userlandia?
Sure. So, I mean, just a little bit about myself. I'm 42. I live in the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm a sensitive soul who loves old computers.
Oh, wow. So we are doing speed dating. Okay.
But yeah, so I've been doing the blog/podcast now, doing videos of Userlandia since this August. It's been 4 years now. I started doing it in 2021. It spun off as a solo project because before that, for a couple of years, I was doing an Apple News podcast with a friend of mine, Jake. We had done it as the unofficial podcast of the Ars Technica Mac forum because nobody there was satisfied with any of the other podcasts. So we said, well, doggone it, we can make our own darn podcast. And we did.
With blackjack?
Were they satisfied?
Yeah. But what happened is due to family commitments and other things, Jake had to step back from the show. And I said, well, I was doing a bunch of stuff and I still wanted to keep doing it. So I said, well, I'll just do solo stuff. And I was writing things. Aside from our team podcast, I was doing solo writing things. And I said, well, I'll just make a blog and I'll put them on the blog and I'll just record them as audio programs and, let people follow that way. And I did that for probably about a year and a half before I'm like, I just wasn't getting any traction with it for a number of reasons. And truthfully, the reality is that people don't read blogs anymore. And the vast majority of the community for vintage/retro/computer history these days is on YouTube. So I kind of had to bite the bullet and start making videos. We'll talk about that later, I guess. But that's basically how things got started and where it is now.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that as much as I used to love blogs back in the day, I like the curated experience of YouTube, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with somebody that just had an audio only podcast or something that's like basically a blog and would do like a companion thing where it would just be like, hey, I'm just going to read the thing for you. I mean, because there's so many people, it's like you're fighting for a sliver of people's time in their day. And I want to get that stuff, but like everybody else, things are so darn busy. So I'm glad you made the transition, Dan.
It's just, I just, people, I mean, the reality is the best advice I ever got. I mean, I've gotten a lot of good advice over the years, but one real solid piece of advice was from friend of, I'm sure, all of our shows, Colin, from This Does Not Compute, when we were chatting about.
He still owes us $20. Colin is no friend of ours.
I'll get him on the horn about that.
All right.
But the reality is people want to see the hardware. They want to see the stuff in action, and that raises the complexity level significantly. Yeah. So that's why I was saying earlier, I feel like I'm a writer who's being forced to make videos, and I'm not sure about how you guys feel about video, but for me, making video 9 times out of 10 is like pulling teeth.
Not for Ron, but for me, yeah.
Well, I have a lot of appreciation for people who have the ability to be on a stream or be able to record themselves talking extemporaneously about things and then being able to edit that down into something. As I'm sure everybody will find in this program tonight, I go off on tangents. My brain runs a little bit faster than my mouth does. And if I'm not heavily scripted, I can go off the rails kind of bit. So I have a lot of respect for, the people who are able to do that, because it's a real skill for them to be able to do it. And, I wish I could. But I try to play to my strength, I guess.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's something that takes a lot of just getting over the fact that humans by default hate their own voice. Well, hold on. People that aren't just sociopaths just hate their own voice. So it's getting over that, and the fact that just accepting the fact that some other human might like you and might be interested in what it is you have to say. So I think once you can climb those two Everests, everything gets simpler.
For me, it's like I did radio. I mean, I've done voiceover. I come from that type of background, so I pay attention to that sort of things, and things that would probably not bother other people bother me. So it's like, I kind of want to make the material I want to see. I mean, I like watching a lot of various kinds of things, but I like things that aren't just surface level prodding. I want to see somebody, think about things and take it from different angles or whatever. And fortunately, like I said, the positive thing about you guys and everybody else being on YouTube and how the community is kind of coalesced around there is just, the pickings are pretty good right now. We've got whatever we could possibly want from all over the world. And I think it's a wonderful thing, honestly.
It's one of those things where it's like, it is maybe one of the positive things to come out of the pandemic and people having more time and being able to focus on hobbies and stuff, is that we now have this wealth of knowledgeable people talking about things that they love and sharing that with us. So I think people use that time to maybe get a little introspective and be like, I love this thing and I wonder who else loves this thing, and I'm going to make a thing about it.
Exactly. You nailed it.
It's been combined too a lot with the streaming services like we're on right now, Discord, those chat services. I think allowed a lot of people to kind of get together and listen and watch each other because they weren't able to get together in person, and it's kind of built in. coalesce those groups. So.
Yeah, I think
Anyway.
it filled a very important social need that people had too. So
Exactly.
But Dan, many of us have jobs related to the vintage / retro computing hobby.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you, or do you have, or do you keep your like work and hobby interests separate?
So, just a quick rundown, at least my current employer, who I will not disclose, a Fortune 500 company that is technically somehow related to the things that we're involved in, but not so much nowadays. I don't really do much, at least my current job doesn't have much to do with our old and vintage tech. But in one of my previous employers, I worked for many, many years in the graphic arts workflow industry. So people are used to thinking of, oh, I'm in Photoshop and I'm in Illustrator and I'm, making all my designs and stuff. Well, how do those designs actually get printed? Well, when you bring them to a print shop, that print shop has to send them to a digital press, or they have to make plates or other things like that. So what my previous employers did was they made raster image processors. So, and one of my many jobs that I had at those companies was being the hardware guy. So I was in charge of RMAs and warranty for my employers at the time. So I always had to deal with people who were, especially, and this is in the days before we had TeamViewer and LogMeIn as well. So I had to deal with people who are like, okay, so I'm trying to send to the plate setter, but I'm getting these hardware errors. What does this mean? So I have, okay, here we got to send you a replacement hard drive. Here's how to swap them out, and dealing with machines that went back years and years and years. So that was always part of my, I had to just keep this big, knowledge of all these old machines that we had in the field. And, that's part of it as well. So that's always kind of kept my love of old computers alive, I guess.
Agree. Yeah, it was in the graphic arts too. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure if I guarantee nobody listening to the show would know the name Rampage if I said it out loud. And then we went over to Fujifilm. They bought us after a while. So
no, I remember it was like after that Godzilla, that King Kong, and that Wolfman tore down the old building. It was really easy. You guys didn't have any assets left, so it was very simple.
How did I know he was going to make that joke?
I teed him up for it. But that does have funny things where, just a quick story, earlier this year, back in March, there was a guy down in Oxford, Massachusetts, who was unloading a bunch of old Power Macs. He owned a sign shop. He was retiring. He's like, I'm getting rid of all the stuff. He posted it in Craigslist for really cheap. So I'm like, I'll take them. So like he had a 9600 and like a 6100 and some other things. Nice. I'm like, I want that 9600. I need one of those machines because I cut my teeth in Photoshop 3.0 on 9600s back in the day. So I drove down there, picked all the stuff up, lots of cool stuff, brought it back. I got the 9600 going. It was one of his spare machines that he bought just in case if his 6100, which was his real machine, died. He used it for legacy jobs. And I cracked it open, started up, pulled through it. And sure enough, it had a Rampage client. I'm like, my old software this came from one of my customers.
That's funny.
With a little,
it's funny, small world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that because I think it's one of those things because it does reveal like kind of how small some parts of this the industry is and how small some parts of the hobby are. Yeah. There was a guy that I went and picked up a bunch of stuff for that was like out over in Indiana that had a bunch of like power computing clone machines. Ooh, and nice. He it was basically, I think he ended up having some software on it that, because when I distributed the machines, I think Steve went through and he was like, holy crap, I worked with a guy and this was his company back in the day. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's small enough that, it all worked out. Huh.
Hey, so Let me ask you a question. How or why did you get into doing your channel?
I got into it because I really started getting into, at least before that. Well, let me rewind a bit. I decided I wanted the focus to really be on computer history, or the impact of computing and software on my life and how that might relate to other people and things like that, or just a place to, uh, talk about interesting things. Like, I always believe that if you are passionate enough about something and you care enough about something, it's infectious, right? Other people will naturally want to
Yeah.
hear about it.
Mhm.
So I just love deep diving and just
Yeah.
pulling at threads. And, I'm sure we've all got stuck in rabbit holes, right? Like,
Mhm.
all of us have. And I would rather say, okay, instead of me just going down the rabbit hole and just satisfying my own curiosity, why don't I just write the stuff up and tell other people about it? Maybe it could save them some grief, or maybe they'd like to, maybe they'd like to hear about it. And of course, there's also spite and, wanting to pull things apart and set records straight, because I do have that kind of streak in me where you have that XKCD cartoon of somebody is wrong on the internet.
Somebody's wrong on the internet.
And I have to tamp that down. Like, I try to, it's okay. It's like, it's okay to go to bed at night and not try to to do that. So I try to refocus that energy to a more positive place.
Productive. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's, and before, like I said, before I was doing this, when I was doing the podcast with Jake, I was doing these solo write-ups where I was just talking about various bits of computer history. The series was called Macanography. And if you search the Icon Garden stuff, you can find it. Like, the podcast is still up. You can all go listen to it if you want to. There's some of them, there's one or two of them that I took and have since completely rewritten and made into videos, but there's other ones I want to go back to. Like, I'm sure everybody here knows about mice and trackpads and trackballs and all that stuff.
Mhm.
One of the ones that I wrote years ago that I would love to try to make into like a multi-part video series is the war between mobile pointing devices and how we went from light pens and other things to trackballs and pointing sticks and touchpads. And there's a lot of really cool history and facts that people don't know,
Oh, yeah.
or are kind of buried. And, the problem is to go back, and it's easy enough to say, okay, I got to rewrite this. Then you say, how do you make that into a video? So that's a whole nother problem. But that's the kind of stuff that, it interests me. Maybe it interests somebody else. I don't know.
Maybe.
And-
I will say that I'm really glad that you said Macanography, because the firewall at my work has the search term Macanography
Okay.
blocked. They don't care for that.
Okay.
Anyway,
Carry on.
so you're one of the things I've noticed about your channel is, of course, you do the computer history thing, and that's obvious. But you also tend to mix in almost an instructional video kind of vibe to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there some, like, I don't know, reason, purpose, meaning behind doing it that way? Is it just, do you feel it presents better that way, or you're like, I don't know.
I was trying to figure out my own way of doing things, because, when I was looking at videos, it's like, I didn't want to, I wanted to do like something where I felt like I could have my own voice. Cause you look at people doing videos, right? And you see, there's people doing all sorts of interesting things out there. It's like, how do I stand out from this? Because I didn't want to do the same thing that other people were doing. Yeah. So, I have done maybe the instructional thing comes from the fact that, I've written a lot of documentation over the years. I've done a lot of customer presentations, walkthroughs, things like that. And I think that probably bleeds into it a bit. It's also probably just the way that I write things and how I approach the problem. Like, it really depends. Like, if you're if I'm not in my talking about history stuff, but I'm talking about like, oh, I found this thing. What can I do with this thing?
Mhm.
And like one thing I picked up recently, which hopefully I'll be able to actually, I have 3 projects in the burner right now that are in various stages of in the can that just haven't had filming and stuff done yet. But at the thrift store, I found the Easy Photo Drive, complete in box, brand new. It's a scanner that goes in a 5.25-inch drive bay
Yes.
inside your
Mhm.
PC. And
Yeah.
I'm a scanner nut. I worked scanners at my job at jobs in printing for years. So I'm like, okay, there's something I can do with this. So like how, obviously anybody can just go and say, well, I'm going to take this video and I'm going to put it in and whatever. But I feel that part of it's like the discovery process. Like, okay,
Mhm.
if I put the effort in trying to figure out how this darn thing works, shouldn't I just tell other people how it works? I like leaving something behind, I guess. I guess it makes it a little more timeless than just
Mhm.
saying,
Mhm.
I'm also, like I said, I'm bad at being on camera like that. So I write the script in a way where like, okay, make my shot list, go through and do all these things and blah, blah, blah. And there's a downside to that. Just like there's downsides to any kind of production, but I guess it kind of lends itself naturally to that style of thing that you were mentioning.
Mhm. It makes the content a little bit more evergreen and diverse when you think about it, because as you were saying, anybody can be like, here's the history of object, but the history of object is more than just like what's written on paper. It's more than just what happened. It's how people used it.
Yeah, exactly.
And what better way to demonstrate that than by demonstrating it?
Well, I mean, a lot of people do very good demonstrations, especially they're able to do them, ad hoc or, LGR. He's pretty good at doing that where he can take a thing and you see his thought process and he's picking something apart and you can see, okay, I've been plopped something on my desk. I've done some research, but you and I together are going to figure this. Like that's his style. And he's very good at that. But that's because he's also over the years, he's learned about, being on camera. That's one of his strengths. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm not as good at that, but if I go through and prepare something, maybe that will help me and say, okay, you can also say there's hindsight to it as well, right? Okay, I've gone through, I've done all this stuff. I've learned the tricks and traps. And there are people who say it's actually good in some scenarios to show the mistakes. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. And there are times where I was like, okay, here's the mistakes. That's good in some cases. But for me personally, it's like, I want to show like, here's this thing in its quote unquote best light. And then anything I want to ding it for, I can ding it for with, yes, it can be dinged, but you might ding it this, but there's a reason why it was that way. There's, as someone who's been in software development, who's, my current job, I do quality assurance. I've been doing that for years as one of my many job functions. Odds are if you see something that's wrong in something, there's other people who might have seen it too and might have raised a question or complained about it. And maybe there's reasons why those things went through or couldn't get fixed or everything else.
Yeah.
I secretly think that it's his brother. I think Clint doesn't care anything about computer stuff. You go to these shows, he's sitting behind that table with a 1,000-foot stare, and his brother is out taking all the footage, attending all the parties, secretly working the deals in the background. I'm not saying that we've got to blow the lid off of this, but
I think they got a real
I'm thinking,
Tomax and Zaymot thing going on there.
Yes, I was going to say that it's I think what it is it's like the Prestige, and it's like Clint is the other of the twins. Also spoilers.
I mean, he is a gentleman and a scholar. So, I mean, I give all due credit to Clint because, I mean, I'll give you some deep lore. I'm sure everybody in this chat knows what a Let's Play is.
Not familiar with this. What is that?
People recording themselves playing video games on the internet. What a shock, right?
Oh, a Wii game. Okay, got it. I've heard of those.
Yeah. So back in the it was early 2000, like January 2007. It's like that's really when, according to the common history of, even though Let's Plays predate the advent, but it's commonly accepted that the modern Let's Play that as we know it, and the guy, Slow Beef will tell you, he's like, no, I stand upon the shoulders of giants, and he did. But the modern Let's Play as we know it was invented on the Something Awful forums in 2006 by Slow Beef, where he did The Immortal and then Super Metroid. And then right after that, the next two people who did them were me and Maxwell Adams. So it's like we were part of the original LP superstars back then. So that was the Wild West of before Twitch, before YouTube really had more than 10-minute videos. So that was really like my first dalliance into video production. And I learned a lot from that, and I put it away for a little bit, and I came back to it. And every time I see, Twitch and Let's Plays and stuff, I'm like, I played a very minor role in this stuff being popular.
I mean, you should have stuck with it. You could have had that super insane streamer money. You could have been another PewDiePie or Markiplier.
No, it's unfortunately such. Well, the circumstances of my life would not have allowed that at the time. Plus, nobody was making any money at the time. But
Right.
It's just
in fact, it was costing people money.
Yes,
because Dan had to pay the extra $2 on the Something Awful forum so he could make his text bold.
Yes.
And then it was like, then he got to pay an extra $1 to italicize, and it's just like, he just nickel and dimed.
I know that's just how it was. But so going back to that, so doing the stuff now, I do kind of feel like I'm going back to that somewhat a little bit. I'm trying to pick up where I left off a little bit.
Sure,
that's cool. Well, Dan, you do an excellent job in researching your subjects.
Oh, thank you.
And we're just kind of curious if you have any suggestions or tips or tricks or anything like that on how you dig up your sources and material for your videos.
Big things that are useful to me are, especially for certain topics that are timely for certain things, is Usenet archives, because they can give you some insight to how things were at a particular point in time. And if they don't, they can usually give you some threads or names to pull on and try to figure out where you can go. I'm sure you guys have all looked at magazine archives. They're all extremely important. Newspaper archives.
Yes.
People overlook newspapers, but believe it or not, you can find quite a bit. Books. Obviously, there's nothing like hitting the old library. I always keep tabs on the thrift store to, you never know what kind of stuff shows up in the old computer books at the thrift stores or things like that. But for the most part, Garth, I will try not to look up your posts on Usenet. But it's funny. I've had people in certain things where I've like, okay, here's my, I don't like just pulling things out of my brain, because even though I do remember a lot of things, I have a phrase where I've done a lot of dumb things in the name of I know what I'm doing. So you need to verify the stuff that you can't hold on to the same assumptions all the time. So I surprise myself. I've gone into things thinking a certain thing and then learning like, oh wait, this is completely wrong. But also you have to be careful with those sources. Sometimes you always have to be thinking, where's the source coming from? Who is writing it? Who is talking? Like, for example, you got to be really careful with what I'll call first-hand interviews sometimes, because depending on and books or things like that, because everybody only knows a certain. It's impossible to know everything, right? And you're still limited by editing. Whoever's checking your stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
So you can't just take one book and say, okay, this one book says this. So, but you can take that and say, okay, well, this person said this in this book. Is anybody else do they have another side of the story or whatever? And you have to try to, pull those things together to try to synthesize into something, not just to reconfirm your biases or whatever you think your initial judgment was. Like a great example, Rod Canyon, the guy who was co-founder, CEO of Compaq for many years, his book, Open, it was an interesting read, but I'm like, Rod, there's a few places here where I can tell you're being he's putting himself in a favorable light in certain cases. I'm just some dude on the internet. I think that's one thing that a lot of people who are making either videos or whatever forget, is that we're just random people on the internet. But, our job or however we feel it is to take this stuff, lay it all out, put the cards on the table and lay out the argument. Some people will never buy your argument. That's fine. That's going to happen.
Well, not at Compaq's prices, that's for sure.
I mean, not in 1994, that's for sure. But it's one of those things where you have to make sure that you're not just getting tunnel vision and narrowing in on one thing and say, aha, I found my first thing that proves my argument. Maybe it does, maybe it didn't. You have to, obviously you have to stop at some point, but you always have to keep your mind open and look at multiple things when you're researching those sensitive subjects or even not sensitive subjects.
And you're 100% right, because the oftentimes like the story from the front of house is going to be a lot different than the story from back of house. Because famously, Ken Williams wrote his book, fairy tales don't always have happy endings, something along those lines. Is kind of the story of Sierra, and it is very much told from the front of house. And there is another book that is out there that is kind of told from an employee perspective. They have a much different tone in certain places where the people that kind of had to deal with some of the fallout of decisions that were made definitely have a different opinion of how things went. Those are people that don't own like vacation homes in Spain.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. You have to take, you have to take a person's, it's just like any kind of reporting or synthesizing of sources. You have to take, what's this person's background? What's their angle? What were they involved in? What could their blind spots be? And you don't want, it's like, we're not calling people liars here. We're not saying that they're wrong, but what we're saying is, here's this evidence. Here's this evidence based on these things. These are what we can pull out of it. This is what could likely be, but at the end of the day, that's the kind of stuff. I mean, I find Ken Williams, I mean, he's a very entertaining guy. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen plenty of interviews with him. He's very entertaining, extremely knowledgeable. I mean, he was in the trenches. Just all the stuff that he saw, he's seen more than I'll ever forget on that front, certainly. But it's also, the point is, okay, Ken as the CEO and the guy who's at the top will definitely have different opinions than people whose feet were on the ground in Mariposa, who had to suffer, suffer some of the consequences of the fallout of Sierra.
Yes. Yeah. But Dan, I do think that you have to keep in mind and take into account that people do have alternative facts. And those alternative facts are just not going to hold up with what you might call reality or what factually occurred. So you can't back people in a corner, making them look in their best light, right?
I mean, facts are facts. It's like you can use, facts can be wielded in certain ways. That's one of the things where I was talking. I want to get back to that thing about the touchpads and trackpads and stuff, because as we all know, everybody in this chat knows, the PowerBook 500 was the first quote unquote commercially released laptop with a touchpad for a mouse. But, you can go back in history and find other machines that have touchpads that work slightly differently. But even the story behind that touchpad is one that is rife with, just crazy things that have happened. And Apple could have had touchpads sooner. Like, there's a commonly said story where the reason why we have keyboards on the PowerBook positioned where they were is because the chief hardware guy, his name is John, I'm blanking on his name, but the commonly accepted story was that he took he had a sheet of the Macintosh Portable, like a photograph of it. He cut up the photograph and put the keyboard, and he put the trackball in front, the keyboard behind, and basically made that notebook form factor that we know of. But at the time, inside Apple, there were actually people working on trackpads at that very time who have actual prototypes of like, here's what we were doing. We wanted to get the trackpad out first, but we couldn't make it work. And so there's a couple of guys who are saying, we were doing this before John did that. And so you have to kind of look at what people are saying and other things. But, I just like looking at those stories and kind of picking them apart and figuring out, could there be more to it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hey, let me ask you another question, because
Sure,
we see you frequently at computer conventions and history events behind the camera documenting things. So, do you have a particular strategy of or a process you like to use when documenting these things?
My process is very low tech. I guess it's good to say that had I not been on with you guys tonight, I would be recording the audio for the VCF Midwest video, which has taken an extraordinary amount of time and effort this year.
Well, we are
all our
very
fault.
proud. We are very proud to screw up your workflow, sir.
Well, I do my own job of screwing myself up constantly, so you don't have to worry about that. I have nobody to
We don't
blame
have
but
to help you.
But for the most part, for a smaller show or whatever, my goal, I just look ahead of time and say, okay, here's the exhibits, here's the schedule, here's what I need to do, here's what I need to get. And I mean, when I'm at a show, I don't have my camera that I film here at home is a Sony A99 Mark II. I still haven't replaced my A-mount camera. That doesn't do any kind of video autofocus at all. So in order to be in the field, I use my phone. And phones have gotten very good at filming things. So basically my strategy, at least at places, to say, okay, this is what I have to get. I walk around, try to get what I can get, and then in my brain, make notes and other things, and then come back and say, okay, how the heck do I transform this into a coherent narrative? And unfortunately, it gets harder and harder with every show that goes on. And it's, I don't want to say it's a spoiler, but I think this year's VCF Midwest video is going to be the last one in that format, simply because the show has gotten too big for me to cover it by myself. And even if I had a second person whose job it was to simply help me film all things, next year they're getting another partition in there. There's probably going to be 20% more exhibits. I mean,
You heard it here first. Wasn't supposed to be public knowledge, but you heard it here first.
I mean, I just heard it through, I mean, it's just the show's, I mean, even if the show's going to get bigger, it's just going to keep getting bigger. It's not going to not get bigger. Right.
Yeah.
So with the way the current schedule is, I won't be able to do it. And I feel bad if I forget somebody or if somebody gets missed or whatever. And so my goal is basically, okay, here's all the stuff. Here's my list of things to get. And I walk around and I try to get them. And this year Midwest was too much. I spent more time, like Saturday. I spent 90% of Saturday filming the show. I got 80% of the exhibits on Saturday, and I tried to get as much as I could on Sunday. And it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't fun, but it certainly negatively affected my, my time with the show this year.
It very much turns it into a work trip.
I mean,
So-
I'm used to doing work trips like that because before, one reason why I was involved in this stuff is one of my things for many years, I tabled at Comic Cons because I was an artist. I was used to the routine of flying somewhere on Thursday to set up and do a show for 3 days and then flying home on Sunday night. I mean, that was work. I mean, I did cons like that constantly. So for me, I was used to that. But the trouble with this is that I'm also, I wasn't, when I was doing that, I was just selling things, right? I was talking to people. I was like Joe was doing at VCF Midwest this year, basically like that, being behind the table, talking to people, selling things. I did that all the time. I'm used to doing that. I can do it in my sleep. But the problem with these is, trying to say something fresh every time gets a lot harder. And at the end of the day, I'm not sure if, I mean, like I said, I'm just one bozo on the internet. And I don't necessarily think that, VCF Midwest is the show the size of it is. They're getting everything from every angle.
Yeah.
They have public surveys now, they're getting the feedback. And, I don't like being a broken record. I don't like being repetitive or saying the same things over and over again. So if I'm going to do a show about, say, VCF Midwest or possibly a different show that I haven't been to before next year, stay tuned. I would like to probably do something different about it. So I have a feeling next year, or if I'm covering the show like that, I can't have a table. And there have been people saying, hey, would you be interested in tabling at the show? And I'm like, I don't know. So I think next year I'm going to have to change that stuff up. But if there are people who are aspiring to cover these shows, my advice would be to get an angle for the show, figure out what you want to say about the show. Like, this I said, I want to do something about every Mac thing at the show. That's the right way to do it. Don't be like me and try to set yourself up for failure by trying to get everything.
Everything, yeah.
It's too big. It honestly, I think we're at the point where before they push the wall out, it really needs to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show with setup on Thursday. And that's a lot for me to just say that as somebody that doesn't have to front the money, but as somebody that volunteers for the show and has been a supporter for many years, especially at this new location, and somebody that pushed for, we've got to charge money for tables. I say we in like as wanting to see this event continue forever.
Right.
That we've got to consider charging for tables. We've got to consider, doing some of these other things that kind of not gatekeeping, but certainly making it to where that not like at the old location where you would go in there and it's the guy that's been bringing the same 6 boxes of wires for the last decade and doesn't sell any of them, but it's just stinking up the floor space with nonsense. It's, if somebody is there and they really want to sell, it's nothing, $75. Or if I want to display something, it's $75. It's I don't, I spend slightly less money on old LucasArts games for 1 month. Come on.
Well, I mean, I like to think that my experience being involved with conventions and stuff over the years had, brought some of that to what I was saying about certain things about the shows over the years. And it's a really delicate balance. Like, another point I was going to say this year is that these shows are like an ecosystem. There's a delicate balance between the needs of the attendees, the needs of exhibitors / panelists / whatever you want to call them, and the needs of the staff.
Oh no, sorry, that's Spock.
Yes. So this triangle is always pushing and pulling at each other, right? So obviously you say, well, we want to get as many attendees as possible because you want to say, we want the biggest show as possible. But that starts putting strains on your venue and on your space. And that also puts strains on the people who are running it, the people who are actually exhibiting. And Ron, to your point, one pithy thing I say this year is that they are trying to put they're trying to put 3 days worth of show into a day and a half bag. And it's kind of spilling over. And I agree that, I mean, even last year they could have used a third day because the problem is that Saturday is the one real day. And unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, a lot of people who are exhibiting at these shows, they're hobbyists, they're amateurs. They're not people like me who are at Comic Cons who it was like a part-time job for us to sell our artwork and things like that. So they're people who are taking PTO off from their real jobs to be able to attend these shows. So I understand that having the show be an extra day is it's more difficult for these people. Maybe they can't get the extra time off. Maybe they have to travel back on Sunday, so they have to leave at noontime. But with so many people that bail at noon, I'm not trying to specifically, rag on people, because I understand, I see both sides of it. But for the show's health, like next year, it's got to be a 3-day show. They have to have set up on Thursday. They have to have 2 full days of the show.
Yeah.
And that way, instead of having the exhibit floor be 9 to 10 o'clock, which is a really long day for exhibitors, you can pull that back to say, okay, the show floor on Friday is 10 to 7. The show floor on Saturday is 9 to 7. And that way, you give your exhibitors a little bit of a break. And then that way it makes it easier for them to have a 3-day show, So I understand. And obviously that costs money. I mean, I understand that the show really wants to be free, as in beer for the average person. But I mean, look, I put my $20 in the Spark Station just like anybody else, but if they want to be unfortunately, VCF Midwest did not choose to be in this position. It's kind of been thrust upon them as the quote unquote premier show in the country. And to their credit, they have largely stepped up with the responsibility to that.
Yeah.
But, if they're going to be a big boy convention, they're going to have to start taking some measures that might be a little unpopular to some people, but to balance that ecosystem, they might have to start thinking about doing some of those things. There's easy things they're leaving on the table, where it's like, if they want to do donations, like, yes, pre-sell t-shirts, have people say, hey, if you are make it like PBS, you're a contributing member to this, you front your $50, you get your tote bag, you get your t-shirt, you get whatever, you can pick it up at the show. Here's your ticket, that kind of stuff.
I'm just saying, set up a cafe press, set up a threadless, set up a whatever, and just have that out there. I have a better idea.
I have locally in Chicago. I'm not sure you guys have heard of the Yeti, which is they work with Games Done Quick. They do video game shirts. They're very much in the retro community. They're located in Chicago. I know one of the guys who works at the Yeti, who's in charge of their shirts and stuff like that. They use quality materials.
Sure.
They are professionals. They know what they're doing. They sponsor Games Done Quick. They work with all that stuff. If we could get them to work with VCF, I bet they could come to a pretty good mutual arrangement to, that's the kind of stuff where I feel like it's teamwork, right? We get people to work together. I realize I've spun us off in this great tangent, and I didn't really intend to do it, but I'm sure they're having these conversations, right? Like I'm sure the VCF Midwest staff are acutely aware of these things. So, for me, it's like, I'm not trying to be unsolicited advice or anything like that. It's more like put my voice into the choir that's saying, we want this show to succeed. We want it to further itself and, be great as time goes on.
Yeah.
Sorry about going off like that.
You're tuned into Unsolicited Advice with Dan Vincent. Let's take another call from, or actually, let's just make a random call.
Sure, I'll take another question.
Chicago area, you're on the phone with Dan.
Back on subject. I love that. That's one of the one things I love about our show is that, we went down the rabbit hole, but it was a great rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But back to you.
Sure.
And it seems to me that in the, about how many videos you have? About 40
it's probably like 20 something. Yeah.
I thought it was more than that, but that's okay. I will give you the credit for twice as many. You've talked about just about every computer platform under the sun, or at least several of them. So which platform is your favorite, or do you love all your children equally?
That's a tough ask. I mean, at the end of the day, I am a Mac guy because even though the Macintosh was not my first computer, I'll never forget the Commodore 64. It was my gateway. And I am a PC guy too, because I know I've forgotten so much stuff about PCs over the years, but there was just something special about the first time that I used a Macintosh. There you go. Yeah. Nice. There's just something special about the first time that I used a Macintosh, and this has been on my computers of significant history that hasn't been made, but I specifically wanted to talk about the Grolier's, the 1992 Grolier's CD-ROM encyclopedia, because I remember the first time I used a Mac, it was 1993. I was in 4th grade, and in our elementary school, they had the cart with the LC2. It was wheeled in the classroom. There were 2 kids, myself and, unfortunately, I can't remember her name, some other girl in my class. You're like, I guess we showed aptitude with technology or something. We're like, what would you guys think about trying this computer here? So they sat us down to the LC2. They had the CD-ROM drive with the caddy, and we popped it in and we tried this Grolier's encyclopedia, and I got to watch the QuickTime videos, the little postage stamp sized QuickTime video, one of them like Michael Jordan dunking a basketball, or the audio clips. Just like it blew my mind, learning how a graphical because even though we had geos at home, it took me a while to really put together what that was until I actually used a Macintosh and said, okay, I'm onto something here. And then I just feel that the Macintosh was the platform for me. Had I had an Amiga at home, I have a feeling it probably would have been an Amiga, but we just didn't have one. Our neighbors did. My up the street neighbor ran the Pittsfield Commodore users group for many years. And my father was friend, and my older brother was friends with his son. And so, we always got all sorts of stuff from them, but they had an Amiga. So I only used it a couple times, but I was younger then. I was like 8 or whatever. Didn't make anything. But when I was in 4th grade, I was like 11 years old. You're at just the right age to really start putting that together. Mm-hmm. So, but in terms of loving equally, it's like, I have my PC over there. I'm on my MacBook Pro right now. It's kind of like when you're a kid, the video game console you loved is the one that you had. Like you're a Nintendo kid because that's all you could have. You're a Sega kid because that's all you could have. And as I grew up, I realized, no, I learned to love all computers. And I realized that there's a whole world of computers out there that I had no idea they existed. Just for me, learning about British computers. Mm-hmm. That was for me a rabbit hole that I loved. Like the first time, because I'd heard of Timex compute, Sinclairs and stuff over here, but we didn't have Spectrums. We didn't have, Beebs and whatever. So learning about that stuff and learning about the historical significance of it, for me, that was like catnip. It's like, I couldn't get enough of that. And, it was a real blind spot in my stuff. And then learning, and that's one great thing about this YouTube and internet stuff we were talking about earlier, just brings us together. We learn that, we're not so different, you and I.
In another universe, you and I could have been friends.
Because that's one thing that also kind of got me into this, because I was getting grumpy. I love a lot of our European and British friends, but I was getting really grumpy at people going, it's like, oh, those Americans, they didn't have bedroom coders. They didn't have micros. That's a really nice machine there, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm jealous you're making me jealous.
It's a Sony.
Yeah. And that's a nice MSX from what I can see. When I went to Japan last year, I thought about bringing one back, and I didn't, much to my regret. But just these people going, oh, those Americans with their Nintendos, they don't know what they didn't have micros. And I'm like, excuse me? I understand that, we had different, there was obviously different things that went on over there versus over here, but I think we had a lot more in common than we had different. Mm-hmm. So I didn't like seeing the divisions. I want to say we should come together and understand things a little more. So that's why as I've aged, I'm like, I just love all computers now. Like I'm just a fan of I'm a fan of all of them.
You
good democratic or political answer.
But, if I only had to have one computer right now, it would be, this. I would have to give up games, but even then, I could probably make it work. Like I said, my heart is. Look at the shirt I'm wearing. It's like my heart, my heart will always be with
On
the
a Mac.
Macintosh. I will always be a Mac guy. Even
Yeah.
though I know PCs, I know them inside and out. I'm your favorite PC guy. I can solve whatever PC problem you have. But at the end of the day, it's always the Mac for me.
Yeah. Now, Dan, you say that, but if I go out to your channel right now, there's a lot of IBM PS2 stuff going on.
There are. I mean,
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that video series and how it's kind of seemingly exploded into you having a Model 80 behind you right now,
Yep,
ready to leap on you and attack.
You can't see it, but off screen's my Model 30. I mean, I love. There's something about IBM. I've said it in the comments of the Model 80 video when I was talking to people, but the IBM PS2 Model 80 is the official computer of it's somebody else's money.
Yeah.
And IBM, I just love seeing it's the corporate hubris of it all. I don't agree with what they were doing, but I see the logic behind it. And it's like, again, it's a rabbit hole, right? It's something and of course I have a personal connection with a PS2 because my first actual PC at home was a PS2 Model 30 that was a derelict machine that I took from my middle school because my middle school shop teacher, turned a blind eye and said, go ahead and it's going to get trashed. Go ahead and take it, So, and there's something, I mean, I think as much as we like to rag on IBM, I think we do have, I don't know if for me, if it's a nostalgia thing for you guys, but there is something romantic about yes, they possibly committed war crimes and other things, but there is something romantic about the American ingenuity of IBM and their, cutthroat business practices and everything else. But it's just, I don't know why. I just like knowing dumb things about things. So getting a microchannel machine, it's like, okay, I could never afford a microchannel machine back in the day. It's like just being able to pull it apart and just see this whole parallel world and just see it's a monument to hubris and to watch it collapse. And, that's what's really appealing about PS2 stuff to me is just this alternative world that we just didn't get.
Yeah. I had a Model 80 that I bought at a state IT auction, and literally, I mean, if you want to talk about people that just had money to throw away in an era when nobody got fired for buying IBM, it was like 8 megs of RAM, like a 200 megabyte hard drive. And I mean, it even had like a sound blaster in it, like a real deal microchannel sound blaster. And I set that up with Windows 3.1 for my sister and had Word on it. And I think she used it all the way through college. And then finally, my parents were like, your sister left this computer here. What are we supposed to do with it? And I was like, if your back can take it, I guess you take it outside and put free on it, and then it will just become somebody else's problem. And it did.
Yeah.
Somebody else. I'm sure that thing is still ticking away,
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just something about at least the Model 80 in particular, it's one of the first tower PCs that was ever made. It's just a machine that's just so grossly over-engineered that you even though you can see the flaws, you can see where the problems are, you can't help but appreciate what it is now that we don't have to live with it on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's a lot of computers like that. And talking about that of rare computers, if there's a super rare machine you'd like to cover on your channel, what would that be?
Oh boy, that's a toughie.
Yeah.
Recently, I actually may, hopefully, fingers crossed, have a lead on a Amiga A3000.
Oh, nice.
And so my older brother, this is at VCF Midwest, he sent me a text. He said, hey, a buddy of mine has an Amiga in his basement that he wants to get rid of. Would you be interested in him? Like, yeah, sure. Tell me what he's got. And he sent back and forth. He said, oh, it's an A3000. I'm like, A3000? And well, it turns out it's a case where I'm currently in talks with him about it. He did not know what he had, so I had to tell him and say, "Hey, man, you can get some serious cash for this if he removed the battery in the 90s, so there's no battery bomb. I'm like, dude, you've got something here. If you want to sell it to me for below market value, that's fine. I will, there's no hard feelings if you decide to go and take it and sell it at, get what you want for it. But we'll see. Fingers crossed we can make a deal on that. And hopefully I can have an A3000 in here soon. And just because that is such a beautiful machine. It's like, it's one of the, for somebody who, cares about Amigas, it is pretty much a holy grail type of thing to have a good one that's in working shape. So if I could get a hold of that, but otherwise for really unobtainium stuff, I would actually like to have some of Joe is on top of it. And what a beautiful machine. They're just one of the best case designs that has ever been made. But in terms of like actual rare stuff, I'm very jealous of Adrian at the moment, who's working on that Archimedes. I'd love to have
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome to have one of those. Yeah.
Just something that's like, I've had hands-on. Last year I went to some computer museums in the UK and got to actually get my hands on those machines and try them out. But I'm like, if I could have one, and actually I did like a history of ARM thing in terms of the context of how did that play with America? Like how did ARM, what's our America's deal with ARM and Acorn in particular? And
if you want to do a video about what America's deal is, I'd love to know, because I have still not figured it out.
But just to be able to do that with ARM and like to see these things that I missed, that would 100% be something I would, assuming I could get out of my own way and actually get something produced on it. But absolutely, just old ARM, just that type of stuff. Like if I had, that would be a holy grail type. Or everybody's got their stuff that, I'm sure that they want to talk about.
Data General Nova. No.
Well, for me, other things would be like, the area that I live in now, I live in the Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts, which is the greater southern New Hampshire, Lowell, North Andover, Lawrence, those areas. There was a lot of tech companies around here. We had Wang. I used to drive every day by the old Wang towers. Now I think UKG is one of the tenants in them, but they're still there. Apollo Workstations was in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. And the building, I drive by the building, Route 129, it's still there. That's like, I'd have no idea how to use any of that stuff, but to be able to research into that, like it put me away for a year and try to, we could have had Apollo Mac 2 clones. We could have had them and we didn't.
Cool. Now, I have a very important question. I'm going to try to not mess this question up. Okay. If I may, I would like to pry into your podcast's pervasive preoccupation and perky penchant for punchy prose. Specifically, your love of alliteration is what I'm asking about. And can you do it on the flies like some sort of nerdy rapper?
Not really. Well, sometimes I can. It's like I kind of need like a prompt. I'm much more likely to pull out a bad pun or some trick of wordplay or thing like that. Or one thing I do is I have a group of friends that I've been friends with a long time. Usually every Wednesday and Thursday we stream on a channel on YouTube called Let's Racing Time Streams, where we have 3 or 4 people together and we just play a game together. We're not speedrunners, but we do races where we race. We were on Twitch for a long time, but we moved over to YouTube. And so you get the 4, we have a stable of people who rotate in and out, and you get us bouncing off of each other, and we can do things like that. But a lot of times for me, a lot of times just being, as I'm sure this live thing goes, I need a little bit of an editor, and sometimes I do have somebody that I work with to help, edit me down sometimes. But for the most part, it's like I look at a piece of paper, I start putting stuff together, I work on it, and that's usually where the alliteration comes into play. It's one of the cheapest tools in the box you know, and I'm not the only person who makes use of that tool, but I try to, I much more prefer the deep cut reference. That's kind of, I mean, there's one guy in the 2GS video, there's one guy in the comments who got that I opened it up with a Metal Gear Solid 2 reference. And I'm like, it's like, I have a lot of like extremely deep cuts that nobody's picked up on yet. Like, there was one where I pulled which one was it? It's the IQ, the Garmin IQ, the PDA that has the GPS built into it. And I did a nice little reference to the Ladybug opener where, you know, Marinette, she has a secret that nobody knows. It's like there's a whole bit from that opener right there that, like I said, I love obscure stuff that if one person gets the joke, that's all it takes. If one person gets it, that's all I'm asking for.
That's all you need.
That's all I need.
Well, Dan, it seems like your podcast lags a little bit behind your YouTube content. Is there a particular reason for that?
Well, the podcast these days is just me reposting.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I haven't actually posted the stuff. I think I'm actually probably just going to I have one coworker who says, "Well, I listened to it on the audio feed," and I'm like, not sure if I want to keep. It's like, I'm not doing podcast specific stuff anymore. Like anything that I do is simply done on YouTube because the podcast just didn't get any traction. Nobody listened. And the only, you know, I know people say you got to create for yourself and everything. And I understand that. But on the other hand, you know, people,
you're going to share it. You want it to actually reach the broader audience anyway.
Exactly. So that's just laziness on my part. So I do have like probably one or two things that just aren't up there out of laziness that I probably should up there. So when I do when VCF Midwest gets cut and put up, I'll catch all that stuff up. But for the most part, yeah, the YouTube, for better or for worse, I'll still post text posts now and then, but for the most part, YouTube is the focus.
Okay,
cool.
So, talking about that, what's coming up next for your channel? Any hints of what you or you want to tease the audience with something?
Absolutely. So obviously the thing that has put all my other projects on hold has been the VCF Midwest video. It should be coming up. Like I said, tomorrow night, I'll be recording the audio. I'll have to edit that down during the week and get the audio done, and then editing the video is easy. Putting all the video, that's the easy part. That's when I don't have to film something and I can just assemble stuff I've already done. That's the easy part. That should hopefully be up, fingers crossed, next week, end of next week, hopefully.
Faster!
Alas, like I said, I'm my own worst enemy. I can't get out of my own
way. I for one, I'm looking forward to the dulcet tones of your wonderful voice.
Well, thank you, Joe. I mean, you coming from, your contributions to the scene are invaluable. It's like you provide a service to, how many products do I have in my, that's a good question. I need to actually tally how much I've bought.
Let me go to my website and look up your name real quick.
Everything I bought from you has been at shows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've always,
thank you for making it profitable for me to go to the shows. I appreciate it.
Well, I try my best, but the other things that are coming up that I've been working on, I actually do have an audio that is in the can that needs footage filmed for it here in such it is as it is my studio. It is what I've so far called the laptops of Legally Blonde, where it is a showdown between the Tangerine iBook that's hiding up there and an IBM ThinkPad T21. Because the conceit of the video is like, everything works great in movie world. We see Elle being a Macintosh girl in a Windows world. But the problem is like at law school, would she have actually been able to do that? Like, how would that have actually worked out for her in an academic setting? A whole bunch of other stuff. Or even if somebody was just comparing them, like if you were an actual student and you were comparing an iBook versus a ThinkPad at the time, which would have been better for you, So that just needs stuff recorded for it. Other scripts that I have in flight. I had been working on the next Computers of Significant History, which is about the HP 8670C, which is over. I actually have a second one that actually just came in the mail recently, because that one, it's been very hard to get the specific one. And that one that I first got about a year and change ago was not in the best of shape. I'm like, well, I'll get it just in case. Last year when I was in Japan, one that was mint came up on eBay. And I'm like, no, I'm not at home and I can't get it. So, but luckily, just within the past week, one that was in much better shape came up on eBay. And so I'm like, okay, that's good. I've been writing the script on that. I've had to put it away now and then. Another one I've been working on is a companion series for software, which I've called a software of extraordinary consequence. And that was going to be for Windows 95 this year because it's 30th anniversary. And I wanted to talk about, I want to take it from the angle of Microsoft is incapable of actually making products that people want to use anymore. And just how the difference 30 years of, say what you will about Microsoft. Okay. I'm a known Microsoft. I mean, I like hating on Microsoft because it is fun, but on the other hand, Microsoft, for the most part, actually shipped stuff. They were able to, that's why they were as big as they were, because they were actually able to get things done for the most part. And, the thought that has always been gnawing in my mind is like the change that we made for Windows 95 to go from 3.1 and DOS to Windows 95, how we changed the user interface. Like people were actually able to buy into that. I don't think Microsoft could make people do that. I don't think it could happen anymore. And the same, I think, kind of goes with Apple with OS 9 to Mac OS 10. Like it was just different back then. That's like the philosophy thing. I kind of want to take apart at that. And the other thing, the last project.
Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to was Microsoft Bob the height of human achievement video.
But the last project that I'd also been working on was back in May at one of my favorite thrift stores. I happened to find a Super Micro SC750 case that had an Opteron system in it. And for those not familiar, that's just the SC750 is one of the massive AT tower cases. Like it's bigger than the Model 80. It's like, it is 6 5.25-inch drive bays on top of, like, it's 29 inches tall. Like it's a monster. And back in the day, I'm not sure if you guys ever read Ars Technica or not. Yeah, it is a monster of a machine. If you guys ever read Ars Technica, way back in the day, they used to have their system guide. And in their system guide, they had a system called the God Box, which was a machine you could spend untold. If you had an unlimited budget, you wanted to build the beastliest box you could build, you would build this machine. And that was the case that they chose for it. So the title for it is called An Ode to the God Box. And it's about something about how we were building PCs back at the turn of the century. So I like to call it that. So those are kind of like my projects that are in flight, and also the one I was saying earlier.
They're this big.
Yes, I know.
And you could emulate the God Box in this about 100 times, and
you could. But I think what I need to do is after the VCF video, I'm going to clear my mind. I'm going to do the easy thing with that easy photo drive and make something that's 15 minutes long. That's not going to go into La La Land, because that iBook video is going to be 45 minutes long. And I'm like, it's like, I got to do something a little shorter to refocus myself before I get back in that coal mine again.
Yeah. So, plus, when you consider that the primary audience for that video is going to be Reese Witherspoon and maybe her mom, I wonder, is that time well spent? But
I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who have an appreciation for the tangerine, so.
And Reese Witherspoon. Yeah.
Yes. And Reese Witherspoon.
So yeah, those are my projects, the upcoming projects.
Cool. Very cool. Well, kind of getting towards the end here, but this is maybe a good way to do a little bit of promotion, Dan. Folks know about your YouTube channel. Yeah. They're familiar with your work in the theater, and of course, your series of casual eating chicken restaurants, but where else can people find you online? What other things are you doing that you would like them to know about?
Well, as I said earlier, Let's Racing Time. If you want to see, like I said, you want to see me and my friends stream retro games or other things like that, we do that usually on Wednesdays and Thursdays. You can find that at YouTube at Let's Racing Time Streams. There you go. You can see just last week we played the new retro shooter Darkenstein 3D. So we gave that, just came out a week and a half ago, and if you like old school Return to Castle Wolfenstein, style first person shooters, which probably people in the retro community probably enjoy, I would recommend checking it out. Other than that, I mean, you can follow me on the social medias. Occasionally I post things on there. For the most part, I'm just kind of floating around places. I post on forums that, you guys frequent. I'm in Discords here and there. I just try to, see what I can do to give back to the community.
Yes.
Cool.
And it's very much appreciated.
We love it.
Indeed.
And we're at the segment now of the show where we pull in some questions from the audience. We got several in from the audience. We'll kind of handpick those. But I do have one final panelist question, and that is, why is SimCity for the SNES the best SimCity, and why are all other opinions wrong?
Because it has the soundtrack, but also it's because it has the changing seasons.
Yes.
No other SimCity has really managed that. And
it is a beautiful masterpiece of a game, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. It's which my SimCity is best SimCity. It's like I would. It has its fault. There are people who are trying to patch it to nowadays. I've seen where people are working on patches to improve performance without even needing a Super Accelerator 1. Just patching improvements based on the stock SNES.
Remember how long a year would take when you got up to Megalopolis?
I never
It's like 45 minutes for a year, and it's just like, oh, my heart.
I could never get there. I tried and tried. I think my personal record for Sims was something like 400,000. I could never break it to Megalopolis. If you can get to Megalopolis, you are a master of SimCity.
You almost had to. The only way you could do it was on map 61 with a lot of like
overlapping,
overlaying, or you could do it on Freeland.
Freeland is hard because
there's no water, so it does weird things with the property values. So you had to kind of like concentrate everything in a super tight circle in the middle. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. We just nerded out about our favorite game. It's fine.
I think the bigger question is, what's the best SimCity 2000?
Oh wow. Yeah. It's definitely not the SNES one. That's for sure.
Definitely not.
No.
All right. I'm dying to hear what crazy questions people in the chat have.
Now, some of them, keep in mind, some of them are joke questions because our wonderful audience loves to try to imitate Ron's sense of humor. So just bear with that.
So apologies up front. Apologies up front.
Yes. It's going to be nothing but a string of sex jokes. Anyway, so first one is from our friend Mac84. Steve, we all know Steve.
Steve, oh boy.
His question is, how many image writers are too many? Asking for a friend. Anyway,
I think the answer to that is you need one image writer that's working, and you need another one that's for parts, and you need a networked one. So at a bare minimum, you need 3 image writers.
Gotcha. This is the correct answer.
Yes.
Yep.
So Steve, you are now officially a hoarder because you have one at 472. So
you're only a hoarder if your shit's not cool. So.
Right.
Well,
we know how many he owns because Ron counted them the last time he was there.
Yes.
So.
I heard that. I can't take credit for this because I heard it on the Judge John Hodgman podcast. But the difference between a hoard and a collection is that a collection is arranged on display. Okay. So if you can point to your collection and you can say, here's my collection that is arranged on display, and you can have a logic to the collection, then it is not a hoard.
So Steve also does not fit the definition of a collection. Got it.
Well,
Okay.
Steve has both a collection. To be fair to Steve, he has both a collection and a hoard. They're
Okay.
two things.
Got it. So the question now then becomes, which one's his collection? The hoard, the basement, the garage, the second garage, the van. Like, anyway, it's fine. We love you, Steve. You know we do. Rudy's Retro has a real question. Rudy asks, you ever find it hard to come up with content?
Oh, no. My problem is I have too many cool ideas that I'd like to do and not, and unfortunately I'm just one person. I have a day job and a bunch of other stuff, and I'm terrible at like, I'd love it if I could just yammer on and not care about what people think about what I'm doing or what I think about what I am doing. If I could just talk, I could do anything. But unfortunately, I care too much. And it's, like I said, I'm my own worst enemy. I have a litany of you can't see over there, but I have projects that, or not necessarily projects, but things that I've acquired over the years that I've done things with that I'd love to talk about. Like I've got a full sun system that I had picked up from somebody with a matching monitor and everything else that I'd love to talk about, but it just would never, it just would never be able to get up to it. Or I have my Mac TV.
No idea what you could even be talking about. I have nothing to make anything with.
I know.
No, I get it.
Or my Mac TV, like that I picked up from a guy locally for $80 with the keyboard and mouse, and he said it didn't work. And it turned out it didn't work with that Steve figured out because the CUDA button was shorted to reset. And so snip out the CUDA button and it works. So I'd love to talk about that machine and the Hook chassis in general for just a variety of things. But, I just have so much stuff I'd love to, or just all the games and other things I'd love to talk about. And I've got a whole bunch of Apple II stuff I'd love to talk about that I just have no idea. Like I said, if this was my full-time job and I had somebody, I had an actual room and set that I could work with a camera that could do video autofocus and, people that I could be in front of a camera and work with, I probably could get that stuff done on a more frequent basis. But right now it's like, it's a struggle for me just to like that iBook thing. I was working on that script last year and I just got stuck in a rut on it. I'm like, the Apple II GS video that I put out last year, that start to finish was from January to August of that year. The script was finished in March and I had to put it away because I had other projects that I had to work on. The actual filming and recording of it didn't happen until July of last year. And then it finally got out in August, so that's just how those things go.
I hear you. Yeah. So that's a reference for everybody. He says he doesn't have the time to do this full time. So make sure that you go to his channel and subscribe and go to his Patreon and give him fistfuls of dollars.
Please don't give me Patreon. It's like, I feel really bad right now because I haven't been putting stuff out. And for the 5 people that subscribe to me on Patreon, it's like,
says the guy who has a Patreon and hasn't done a video in 3 years. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, Joe, your Patreon is for you to make all the awesome stuff that you make. Like your Patreon is not just for videos. Your Patreon is for your CAD work. It's for your board work. It's for developing the PLA filament. Like that's what people are giving you Patreon money for. So
you're too nice.
Oh,
I believe that as a community,
but you're right.
I mean, trust me. I would love to. I used to be many years ago. I used to be the kind of person who just be like, oh, I want to rag on this. I want to, I want to be mean. And I realized being mean, as much as it can feel cathartic to rag on somebody or be mean, I don't like doing that anymore, even though, like I said, spite can be a great motivator, but I don't want, because that 2GS video, the reason why I made that video was because people kept repeating stuff. People, as I said, people who I respect, repeating things. And I'm like, no, it's, I I don't want to be confrontational, but on the other hand, it's like you hear that little voice in your head that says, "But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun." But it's like I've gotten beyond that. Maybe that's cowardly of me. I don't know, but I would. It's a case where, like I said, I want to make the stuff that I want to do and try to, even if it comes from a place of spite, to try to do it in a more, try to channel that spite into something productive.
Sure. Gotcha. Our friend of the channel, Gutbomb, asks, do you have stairs in your house?
I do. And I have been warned about these stairs. So I always make sure every time I go up, there's a banister right there. So in order to make sure you don't have any hella Jeff moments, you always use that banister when you go up and down the stairs.
Gutbomb has another question. What's the best thing about OS2 and what's the least best thing about OS2?
The best thing about OS2, I mean, to be fair, HPFS was a pretty good file system at the time. And for the most part, it is fairly robust. But the worst thing about OS2 is certainly installing it. And, patching it. Patching OS2 is the absolute worst. Like those fix packs, that's just how things were back in the day. We have come a long way, but I'm like, how did people deal with this back in the day? Honestly,
they weren't online, so if they didn't need the fix, they didn't patch it. They didn't care. That's how they dealt with it. And finally, Starbuck asks, you've done a series on brain. I'm trying to read it here, and I'm like shorting my brain out. You've done the series of computers of significant history. Is your next series going to be rodents of unusual size?
We made a joke about that the other night when we were playing Darkenstein 3D, because that. I mean, we do have computer rodents of unusual size. I would say, I mean, unusual could mean large. It could mean small. You never know. I mean, I would, like I said, I do think I would like to do that series again, like to go back, because I could do it in fits and starts about the trackball moving on to touchpads and then track points and everything else. I'd like to get back to that and actually put that out there. Whether I'll ever be able to, I don't know. I mean, like I said, if you want to listen to that, you can go look at the Machinography, download the podcast. You can listen to it. I mean, it is several years old now, and also my production in terms of like, if you just want to listen to it, you can go and listen to it. But I want to it needs some editing. There's also some new facts and other people that have come to light since I did that, probably like 5, maybe even 6 years ago at this point. So I'd like to revisit it, edit it down, chop it up into multiple things, and get it out there again, because I just love, that's the kind of stuff I love, is just weird things like that, like the history of unusual things, right? Like pointing devices. Everybody knows about Doug Engelbart and the mouse and the mother of all demos, but there was stuff before that, because believe it or not, Doug Engelbart probably technically did not invent the first mouse. I believe it as actually the credit can probably be given to Telefunken, because they basically just took one of their trackballs and turned it upside down, because Telefunken was doing trackballs. But this was almost at exactly the same time. Like I want to say it was like 1969. My brain isn't, but Telefunken, like a month before, had done what amounts to a mouse for like an air traffic control thing. It's not the same as what Engelbart was doing, because Engelbart was doing it in the context of, of that computer interface stuff. But you can see these parallel thinking paths that happen in history, how multiple people arrive at the same conclusion almost at the same time. It's shocking how many times it happens, actually.
Yeah. It's like every animal in nature trying to turn into a crab. It's weird.
Well, that's the second biggest crab I've seen in my life.
Yes. Well, we're at the point of the show where we normally talk about our own little worlds, and we would like to give you the opportunity to hang out with us as we go through that, or jump off and say your goodbyes however you would like. We're not kicking you off, but we do understand that your time, sir, is valuable. So we can include you in that discussion as well, obviously. So we just want to give you that option.
Sure. Oh no, I'll happily, I'll sit back. Like I said, I feel like I live my life constantly thinking I'm annoying people, so it's like, I don't want to feel like I'm, obviously I guest on the show or whatever, but I don't want to feel like I'm, monopolizing stuff. And I will certainly sit back and if you throw a question my way, I will try to give a jokey answer to it.
Sure.
But first, I would like to say that
yes,
did you guys know that this stream, you've got a sponsor tonight? And the stream is, as always, sponsored by the delicious taste of Worcester's own Polar Seltzer.
Ooh.
Great. So when's the check gonna be put in the mail?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I'm still. Let's Racing Time is sponsored by Polar Seltzer, and unfortunately, even though I live about 45 minutes away from the Polar Factory in Worcester, Massachusetts, they haven't even sent me like a plush doll or plush animal of Orson, the little polar bear. His name is Orson.
Oh, nice.
They still haven't sent me one yet. I still have not seen a single check, despite every single Let's Racing Time stream being sponsored by Polar.
Maybe they just forgot. I think they've just not remembered.
In the olden days, back when we still had a platform called Twitter, I was thinking about, like, maybe if I just bug them, they'll just send me free stuff. But now, I mean, maybe I could just send them an email, said, hey, we like to, Polar is like the official drink of our channel. Can we get Orson to have him on stream?
I tried and I got a cease and desist from one.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Like, we know you're drunk. Stop calling us. Anyway, no, seriously. So it's that time of the show for our gets. Who would like to go first and talk about something really cool that they picked up recently?
Go ahead, Javier.
I'll do it.
Tell everybody about that emergent respiratory virus you got.
So no, I've been crazy busy with life and all these little projects that I had. A few weeks ago, I did get this Laser 12080X2.
Nice.
As you can see, it's still in the works because it had more problems than I envisioned.
Oh no.
So yeah, it is a cool machine, but it has a lot of issues.
What he's not mentioning to you, Dan, is that the majority of those problems he caused.
I have, like I said, I've done a lot of dumb things in the name of I know what I'm doing. So Javier, you have my sympathies.
But as you know, I'm the master of what I'm doing, and I always break. So yeah.
But it's half the fun.
I haven't had to fix half of your crap. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. So other than that, I've been doing all these little projects.
I love those, by the way.
Javier's miniatures are the best.
I love them.
These are actually going to be awesome. And I've been talking to Mac Effects, just for you guys to know. So we are thinking about making them in production.
Nice.
Oh.
So they're going to be very nice for next year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Those are so adorable.
I love them.
Commodore 64
and
Apple II.
And they actually light up and do things. So
yes, they do. Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Javier, have you thought about making them into Christmas ornaments?
They are Christmas ornaments.
Hold on. Look at the top.
My God. I love it. My tree needs those.
Well, yeah, but they are expensive to make and complicated. So we're trying to make them affordable and in a big way. So yeah, we will have more.
I will sign up for the
Javier's going to
pre-orders.
shut down his website and put them all on jcm-1.com.
As always, as everything. But in the meantime, you got to go to 8-Bit Tees and 8-Bit Stuff. But another thing that I just remember is that I got
the TK2000, yes.
So this was a thing that I had with my friend Sean Fahey that we all love. And we did some trading and things, and I got it. It's kind of brand new. box is almost new, and I'm gonna do a video about it. As you can see, there's a quick peek. But
Oh,
yeah, this is an Apple II clone for people that doesn't know.
it's so
From
weird. It
Brazil.
looks like it's an Apple II that looks like an Atari 800 XL. It's weird.
Exactly.
So
So
Yeah.
it's a beauty, and I need to and you know that I love those crazy weird. I got already the Brazilian Apple IIc clone. That is not really a 2C, it's a 2 plus. But I love these weird computers that are from everywhere. So yeah, this is gonna be a nice video. That's my next video. And nothing. I've been just crazy working on a lot of little projects, but those are the main ones that I've been working on. So
Nice.
Awesome.
Run.
Ron,
Oh, hi. It's
your
Ron
turn.
from Things That Ron Does. I have been I'm reluctant to say this, but it seems like we're kind of in a little market dip for big box games. And so I have been filling in some gaps in my collection with things that I've been interested in, but maybe haven't been able to find a copy of it at a decent price. Some games that were $300 this time last year are now like a fraction of that. So I've picked up a few things, and I wanted to show off one that I didn't own back in the day. I played it, but I never actually owned it. And then I want to show off something that I actually made to celebrate something else that I always wished was a thing. But if you are a fan of logic puzzles and kind of point and click adventure games, this is a game. It's called Clandestiny. This is the sophomore effort, or maybe I don't know. I don't think this came out before the 11th hour. But if you are a fan of Trilobite software, so the 7th Guest, 11th hour, that game that they came out with that was sort of more movie than game. But this is really neat, and this is a really nice boxed example of the game. These don't turn up all that often, and when they do, they seem to be rather expensive. And it's very pretty. It's this had to have been really expensive back in the day. Unlike previous Trilobite games, this made use of cell animation, so it is kind of neat that you do have a little color animation cell kind of on the cover.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And then you have the background, the little
beautiful
castle. But the and the game and the materials and things like that. But it's all still boxed up, kind of like this is by no means how it came from the factory, but but it's all the original stuff here, and the little packet that comes with it that actually has all of the info and everything like that. It's completely unopened, which is unfortunate because whoever owned this previously should have played this game because it's actually quite a bit of fun. Unlike the 7th Guest and the 11th Hour, this game uses stills. So if you think about how when the 7th Guest came out, how you would click in the mansion and the camera would go and just kind of follow through. This does the zips sort of like Myst does. So when you click something, you go over to wherever it is that you want to investigate. So it was a cheaper, maybe you didn't have to spend as much time rendering it. So, but it's a fun game and it's got cute puzzles, and this is maybe a little more kid friendly. So I enjoyed it and I picked it up. The other thing that I got, there's a cool game. It's an RPG. It's kind of, since spooky season is wrapping up, this is a little game that was released by Double Fine Software about 15 years ago. As a matter of fact, October 20th marked the 15th anniversary of Costume Quest, which this is a kind of a cutesy RPG that basically you're some kids and there's some monsters that are stealing all the kids' candy, and you have to kind of go out and you look like little kids in cardboard uniforms, but when you get into the battle system, you look like a big robot, or you look like a knight in shining armor or whatever. But it never came out in a big box, but I thought it'd be fun and a little bit of a challenge. I designed a big box version of the game. Don't look at it from behind because it's just the Three Stooges for the Apple II. this is just in here to prop the box up, but yeah, it's I wanted to do this, and this probably needs some improvements, but I released it for free over there to the Double Fine community for people to make improvements and do fun things, and I'll be excited to see what they come out with.
Awesome sauce.
That's kind of it.
Very cool.
I didn't get anything recently because I've been too flipping busy.
Jeez,
So if you can say that like I got like more gray hair, then I guess that's it. I have lots of stuff I'm working on that I'll get to in the next segment, but no gets for me. Dan, do you have anything cool that you've gotten recently you want to share with the audience?
What I've gotten recently, let's see, the stuff I've picked up recently. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that A3000 will be coming my way. Before that, a while back, I picked up not one, but 2 desktop track points.
Nice.
One of which was brand new in the box. It was the Combo Alps touchpad / 10 keypad for that you could use with a PowerBook. ADB, of course. I also, the other one was a Cirque, which is the same as the Alps Glide Point, just a standalone beige desktop trackpad. I picked those up because I wanted to have them for when I get around to doing the bit about touchpads and track points and things like that. I ran into Ron, for you. I ran into a 190 CS recently.
Oh, nice.
I was just at a thrift store that I don't normally go to because it's usually a dud, but I went in and sure enough, there was a 190 CS with the power adapter for $10. I'm like, does it work? Plugged it in.
Zoink!
And turned on and it worked. I'm like, son of a gun. So I brought it home and cleaned up some of the very sad battery leakage in the battery compartment, but otherwise, works perfectly fine. So that was fun to see because tip for you for those that have savers or value villages in your areas, they still take computers. So unlike some other places that just trash them, so they will generally put computers out on the floor. Now you won't always see them, but luckily the areas that I'm in, because we had all these tech companies around here, somehow we still end up getting that junk occasionally, not all the time, but occasionally. So when you see a 190 CS, even though it's a 190 CS at the store, you see it, I was like, hey, I'm not asking any questions. I'm taking that home. The other thing was that Easy Photo Drive. Another tip, always look in the office supply sections. You will be surprised at what software and boxed computer crap you will find in the office supply section at the thrift store. So that was just there in the whole thing there. Before I can tell, brand new in box, never been used. So grab that too. Otherwise, I think that's really like the latest stuff aside from that other HP that I picked up, but hopefully also a couple weeks, actually at this point is more a month and a half ago. I'm sure you all have alerts in your local Craigslist and other things like that for certain keywords and other things. And it popped up on my thing for an Atari Mega ST.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
For $100.
What?
Yeah.
At the next town over.
Damn.
And the guy literally lives 5 minutes down the street from me. And
wow.
I got that alert and I said, there's got to be a catch. But I sent him an email and he said, no, I'll get to Gut Bomb's question in a second. But I talked to this guy and he said, oh yeah, I saw your website and I knew you'd be a good home for this. So I got that Mega SD. It all worked. I picked up a new TOS, VCF Midwest. I picked up a new TOS for it and a ACSI 2SD and a PS2 mouse adapter. Everything on it worked great, except I somehow broke the red gun on the monitor. I have a feeling that there was a cold solder joint that was weak. I was like, well, I need to take it apart just to check the caps and everything else. And so I took it apart. Somehow the guy who had it, there were no screws in the monitor somehow. So I took it apart, looked at it, said, okay. I mean, it looks okay in here. Everything looks good. It was working because I plugged both my A500 and the ST. It was full color. Put it back together. No more red.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So fortunately though, both the Mega ST, everything, the power supply was fine and there was no issues with it. I've loaned the Mega ST and the monitor to friend of the channel, Big Bad Biologist. And I said, John, whatever it costs, I'll be happy to pay you for your services to try to, because I mean, I'm not a CRT guy. I mean, I can recap an analog board,
Yeah.
but at that, I mean, I don't like doing it, by the way, but I will do it. My Mac TV definitely needs its analog board recapped, and I just have not gotten around to it. But when it comes to actually poking and prodding stuff, I know my limitations. So
Just lick the anode cap while it's on.
Just
sure.
be like me. Just connect it and see what happens.
So
yeah, just put the CPU in backwards. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I told him, whatever, if it ends up, I don't think it needs a recap, but I think it's, whatever your time is worth, because I know you're a good guy, and I'll make sure you're fairly recompensed. And said, hey, since you've never,
It's a great guy.
If you've never had an Atari before, go to town, make a video on it, do what you want, So that's part of, like, I like it when people loan stuff, or just say, we pass things around to people to say, hey, do you need to borrow something? I have something in my collection. Go ahead and borrow it. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as I don't need it right away, I don't mind, loaning stuff, or, I sell below market value. But that's what I've picked up recently.
Cool. I'm jealous, and I'm driving to your house to steal it. Anyway, so I'm kidding. Maybe. Yeah, I didn't have any gets, but I did want to talk about some of the things that I've been working on. I have about 100 new products. It's not really 100, but a lot of new things to get out into the world. As we may know, Tech by Androda is reducing the amount of products that he is actually having on his website. He's going to a distributor model. Tom Barber and I are his two current distributors, and I've increased the number of things that are on my site from Androda, including lots of cool stuff for the Macintosh Portable, including the VGA adapter that Ron asks me about every 32.6 seconds. So yeah, that's cool. So those are there. I've also been working with Androda on this cool little thing right here, which, and also shout out to Gutbomb, who's doing the case design for this. But this thing right here is a variant, if you could see my face, this thing right here is a variant of the Hoot switch. I'm calling it affectionately the Woot switch, because, that's kind of my thing. But the Woot switch, what it is it's a KVM without the V for your Mac. So you could have a single keyboard and mouse and plug it into multiple Macs. So you can have like a retro battle station, so to speak, with one console, but all of these different machine setups. Especially helpful if you're working on two machines side by side on a tight bench like this, where there's like 2 feet of space and 14 feet of Spectrogen, because I have a problem. But super helpful there. So we've finalized the hardware on that, the hardware design. So hopefully this will be out in the next 30 days or so. And the whole design, the idea behind this is to make it more cost effective than the original Hoot switch is. So that's going to be cool. Also, to have it in some sort of mass production so people can just get one. The second one is our friend HKZ. And I mention HKZ because Javier is working on a computer behind him that HKZ is cloning right now, which is freaking awesome. But anyway, HKZ designed a super micro version of the Mini Performer, which was cloned by Raleigh. Not Raleigh. Is it?
Yeah, Raleigh from
Did Raleigh do it? Or is it Bole did it. Anyway, that's fine. But anyway, it was cloned, and then other people cloned it. But basically, This is a super tiny version of the Performer accelerator card for Mac Plus. But what makes this different is that it's designed to use a 3D printed Killy clip that I designed. So it just goes boop, right onto the CPU. No soldering, modification to your Mac Plus, nothing required. It just goes dunk on top of the Mac Plus, and it turns your Mac Plus into effectively a faster Mac Plus, if that's a thing that you're into. And it also gives you the FPU. So if you're wanting to use some sort of software that uses FPU capabilities, that'll be a thing. I'm trying to drum up interest in this. So if you want one of these, yell at me, because they're kind of expensive to make because of the funky connectors. These chip connectors here are really hard to get. The sockets they don't make them anymore, so I have to like search around them. The CPUs as well. They're kind of expensive. The board itself, this is like a $5 PCB, whoop-de-doo. But it's all the bits and pieces, and it has to be hand soldered. This can't be machine manufactured because of the funky parts that you have to get. So I'm trying to get enough interest so that it can get enough of these boards, buy enough parts in bulk to get the price down. If I don't do that, they're going to be like $150 a piece, and then that's like a really expensive toy. Like, you know,
if you don't mind me asking, Joe, like what for a project like that, what's like your goal price point for that?
As cheap as I can possibly make it.
Okay.
I literally, yes.
Yep.
I mean,
that's a good answer.
What's that? That's
not
an
answer.
That's
a good answer. That's a good answer.
But yeah, no, seriously though, it is like there are. I don't know how to put it. There are people who are getting into our hobby because they see folks like Javier, like me, like Ron,
yeah.
Andrea. They see the Blue Scuzzy project. They see these things. They're like, these things are really popular. I can make $1 million, but that's not the point. Yes, it is a business. Yes, I have margins and all of those things that I have to worry about, but there's a balance point between price. I'm getting into like business theory here, but there's a balance point between price and volume. And the idea is to keep it kind of bright balanced so that I can continue to have the cash flow required to continue to do things like buy 100 of these with nobody who's promised to buy them yet.
Right.
But on the other hand, have these to where you can buy them for $49 instead of $150. So that's
plus Dan, the point is actually to make $999,999 because then you're not a millionaire and you can cosplay as a regular person. And that's what, if the last few years have taught us anything, that's what people love.
But seriously,
pretending to be a homespun kind of guy.
Yes, but it's about keeping it cheap because
keep it affordable.
Our hobby are so expensive for no reason.
Right.
You know, the machines themselves, the cost in the computers has gone up so much because of speculation and whatnot, whatever you want to attribute that to. Well, what if we can have the bits and pieces to keep the machines working more affordable so that, you know, that's the goal. That's it. That's all I got. Anybody working on anything else they want to talk about?
I'm working on something amazing.
That's it.
I'm working on something amazing that will be in Joe's store very soon.
Woohoo!
Yes. And that's all
I happen to have one right here.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I happen to have one right here.
Such a
Let's see.
It's a beautiful PSU adapter for the Macintosh LC.
Ooh.
And LC2 and LC3 and Quadra 605 and LC 475 and all of them Demdare Pizza Box Max. So the idea is that you can, if you have a dead power supply and you don't want to resolder it, you can salvage your cable, or there'll be an option where you can purchase a little adapter cable, plug it in your motherboard. The board, you can either solder it on. You can either solder it on, or you can use the screw terminals. You basically connect it up based on the voltages, and that's it. It's also got the ability to replace your clock battery. All that. One cool thing, a very pretty 3D printed sled that Gut Bomb designed, of course.
Okay.
And yeah, so this will get some of those
Designed
machines
to-
back on the road.
And it's designed to take the Pico PSU unit, right? So you just kind of
Yes.
plug the
Yep.
Pico
So you
into it.
just throw a Pico PSU
Yeah.
in there, and away you go.
Nice.
Man, I'm so glad I bought a bulk of those and put them on my shelf. Man, it's almost like I was like thinking ahead.
They're handy. They're handy. And then we'll have other adapters for other Macs
Yes.
soon.
So many cool things. Just 2026 is going to be, there are things I can't even talk about. I have stuff on the bench that's actually hiding that you're not allowed to see. There's so much cool stuff going to be happening in 26 this year or next year. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
I know you can't divulge what you're working on, but I hope, fingers crossed, that one of those projects, I'm not sure about you guys, but what your, the number one power supply replacement that you're looking for Classic Macs. The one I'm looking for specifically is for 2CIs, 2CXs, Q700s, and those I think even go all the way up to like the 650s, 2VXs. I think they're all even up to like the Power Mac 7200 type machines. Like
Ron, get on
2CI.
Yeah, it's done. It's as long as you don't care about soft power. If you don't care about soft power, it's pretty easy to do that.
At least
stuff.
with the
if you want
2CI,
soft power, then it does require some additional stuff, and it drives the price up. So
Thomas Armstrong, the IBM 5150 power supply. Yes. The solution to that is just don't turn it on and look at it as a pretty showpiece, and then use something that's a little nicer.
Yeah. PCG power supply.
It's fine. Cool. Well, I think this is a great time to wrap up the show this evening. We've gone a little bit long because we've had such a wonderful guest answering so many cool questions.
Yeah,
it's my fault. I'm bad at that.
No, there's no fault. Great. We love long shows. It's great. Dan, thank you for being such a great guest tonight. If you want to take a moment to remind everybody where they can find you on the internets so they can go support you and your awesome things that you do.
Sure. Well, again, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I always appreciate it talking to you guys because, as I said, you're all class acts. And so, I feel like it feels pretty good to be in the same room with everybody here.
Yeah.
As always, subscribe to the YouTube. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, youtube.com/@Userlandia. My social media presence, I am on Blue Sky. My handle on there is Kefka Floyd. I've had the same handle now for almost 30 years on various places. I do have a Mastodon account that I don't post on as much anymore because it's just difficult for me to post on multiple things at the same time. But I still follow people there and I still respond to questions. So that is I think it's still on bitbang.social/Kefka Floyd. That's my handle on that. As I said earlier, you can watch us stream usually every Wednesday and Thursday night at Let's Racing Time Streams on YouTube. And just so Gut Bomb doesn't think I forgot about him, the answer to his question from earlier that I haven't been down to the one in Dedham, so I can't say about that. But the ones up here, the ones in Wilmington. Specifically the one that's up in Nashua, New Hampshire. That one seems to be, at least, of course, now that I'm saying it, people are going to go there and they're going to take all my stuff. But in terms of electronics, that one probably is the best hit rate that I have gotten in the area. But yeah, the ones we have up here seem to be pretty good. Well, pretty good is relatively speaking, of course. But otherwise, I think that's the places you can find me. On social, and I'm probably in some of those discords that people are hanging out in and on forums and things. I mean, we just had a great thread where we were doing some teamwork on the LC550 on the Tinker Different forums with JDW, where we were just talking about ROM programming and the difference between LC 550 and 520 boards. And by the way, just so in case people still aren't aware, because I don't think that article got any traction, there is no difference between a Color Classic 2 and an LC 550 logic board. They are identical. They have the same VRAM. Apple's spec page is wrong. Color Classics 2s have always had 512K of VRAM on board. They are one and the same.
You heard it here for the 9th time. Get it
For the
right.
9th time.
Yes.
I know people who work at Apple, but I don't know who runs those pages. So I'm like, could I have somebody fix that?
They don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
But at least they have those spec pages going all the way back to you can pull up Apple IIs on those spec pages. But yeah, and thank you guys for having me on board. I appreciate it very much. You guys run a good show here. You know, it's always great to hear the great people you have on, and just
thank you.
You know, that you keep doing it week in and week out, and you keep the quality up, and it is a service to the community. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing, because
yay, it's good. Ron, you heard the man. Keep inviting people.
Yeah,
we'll keep
you do that.
I mean, these shows, they all take a producer who knows what they're doing, and you know, Ron, as I said, you know, he's a good guy. I cannot sing his praises enough.
Yay.
Yeah.
So let's forget about Ron for a half second and talk about Javier, and tell everybody where we can find you on the internet.
Yeah, I'm Habmaster, YouTube/Habmaster for my videos. I'm hopefully going to do another one for that little thing. And also on Patreon, if you want to help me, patreon.com/Habmaster. And what else? I'm in the forums and everywhere. Sometimes I go to Tinker Different, Apple Reader. I'm always somewhere, so you can find me easily. That's it. Oh, whoa. 8BTs.
How does he always forget that, Ron?
And 8-bit stuff.
He's like, I'm done, and then he's got to remember to do it again.
I'm old. But 8BTs and 8-bit stuff.
Have you noticed that the two people with hair are on top and the two people without hair are on the
bottom? It is by design. It's by design.
Javier. Or not Javier, Ron.
Ron. That's fine. It's fine. I always get us confused too.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. When I'm not hanging out behind the dumpster at Arby's, you can find me over on my YouTube channel, which is YouTube Ron's Comp Vids. I've got a interview series that I've been working on. It's a lot of people that just don't fit into the regular time slot that we do over here. There's a lot of folks that are like, sorry, I'm only available at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays, Pacific time. So that doesn't really work for our schedule. So I have a lot of those videos over there. 2 that I just did, again, in sort of celebration of spooky season. Just swing by. I got all the potato cakes you can eat. I think that's what they're called. But I did a couple of interviews recently. Tasha Sunart, she's the lady that this was her idea, Costume Quest, which is again just a fun spooky RPG made by Double Fine. And then I also recently interviewed Brett Mogilewski. He is the gentleman that is behind your favorite game and mine, Grim Fandango. So anyway, 2 interesting interviews. I released the Costume Quest video on Halloween, and then I released the Grim Fandango video on Dia de los Muertos. So today, or well, I mean one of the days, since it's multiple days, but yeah, this is kind of the day where honoring everybody. So yep, but that's one of the themes of the game. So, but yep, that's it.
Yay!
Joe.
And hi, everybody. My name's Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. You can find me at places like Joe's Computer Museum and Joe's Computer Museum. No, seriously, though, if you want to follow what I'm doing, you can check in with me on Retro Repair Roundups the first and third Sundays of every month, unless, one of us exploded with a fireball of fire or something. But you can follow me on jcm-1.com. You can pick up cool stuff there, but also I have links to my social media and stuff. So if you want to watch me be snarky on Maine, you can follow me on my social media from there. And one last, why am I hitting the wrong buttons?
Buttons, how do they work?
Anyway, one last thing though. I want to give special thanks to Garth Beagle, Gut Bomb, and Justin Morgan for helping with curating some of the questions tonight. Ron is usually really good at helping produce the show. He was busy this week and he said, Joe, can you step up and produce the show? And I'm like, I'll try not to screw it up. So I reached out to some of our wonderful friends in the community who did help point out some really, really cool things to ask our wonderful new friend of the show, Dan. So
all names that I know, and I can definitely attest that they are also good people as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely very, very humbling.
Awesome people.
I only asked for help from the most douchebag people in our community. So that's it for tonight's show. We'll see you again in 2 weeks on, oh gosh, what's the date? The 16th, in which we'll have somebody scheduled. I'm not sure who it is off the top of my head, but I'm sure we will have somebody cool on the show. And as my friend here, Ron, likes to say, make investments in kindness and remember to be nice to people because you never, ever know what they're actually going through. See ya. Goodbye, everybody. Good night.